Hey guys, HockeyRock16 here, and I know that this is zombies, but this is a Call of Duty in general, like in in general commentary. Sorry about that. Um, what I mean by that is I'm talking about why I believe Call of Duty, while it claims to be a next-gen game. Now, this isn't for all the games like Black Ops 2 and stuff, because those, they knew they were not next-gen games, and that's because they were put on PS3 strictly. So anyway, continuing on here, Call of Duty was made with the 1999 Quake engine, alright? Now, the Quake 3 engine. Quake 3 was a game in 1999, as I just said, and thus making the engine over, over 15 years old. I think that would make it 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, make it 16 years old, and that's not acceptable. Even if we're gonna say it's the IW 3.0 engine, which it isn't, but we'll say that that's a 2003 engine. I mean, like, come on. That's a little ridiculous. Now, what I mean when I say I want a new next-gen engine, is I want a game to be as realistic as possible. Even though I know this is an arcade shooter, I'd still like it to be a little more realistic, at least. I mean, make some of it make sense. But, yeah, anyway. I mean, like, have a helicopter in the, if you call in like a warbird or something like that, and you shoot it down, it should come all the way down and sit in the map for a little bit, causing debris, closing off a lane, or what have you. But it shouldn't do what it does in Call of Duty and just come crashing to the ground and do absolutely nothing. I mean, it doesn't even hit the ground, it disintegrates in midair. And now I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, we live in the 21st century, and we are in the year 2015 right now. So, like, give us a little more updated game. As I will continue here, I would like some new features as well. As, like, even the small stuff where if you're shooting someone and they're behind a concrete barrier, you're chipping pieces of the concrete off. And as that's happening, you're altering the map in a miniature way, but still dynamic enough where, hey, maybe at the end of the game, if someone shot a rocket at that piece of concrete, or if it's taken enough bullets, that thing's not a well piece of cover. That will also as well increase the way the game is played, as there will not be as much head glitching, because guess what? If you're shooting their head glitch down and cutting it down to size, you'll get down to their neck eventually, and you'll get down, and then you'll move on, you'll get down to their mid-torso. And like that, meaning that you'll have a better type of game. You won't have people that can just sit there, and it's a more active game as people can move around. I mean, yes, you have that covered, but you should have it for a limited amount of time. And moving on here, I'll also talk about the lag compensation part of this. Now, Call of Duty will argue this no matter what. They'll say they have a lag-free game, a bunch of that baloney. Or they try to make it as lag-free game as possible. But really, in reality, they don't. They have built-in lag. And I don't mean the lag compensation that you're obviously going to get in a multiplayer game, because that's with every game you're going to get that. But I mean the lag compensation built in to a let's see, the word I'm thinking of is a LAN game. like, alright, there's been tests done where what they do is they sit behind a wall like this, jump out around the wall, and they'd have a split screen controller looking. Now they'd have the software recording, and they'd slow it down, and you could really see the time difference. The guy jumping around the corner like so would be able to get a good 3 or 4 shots off, maybe killing the person just as they're coming around the corner. Now this is the same thing as if you're running away from someone, so you boost over here and you're around the corner. And you know you're around the corner, but you get warped, you get the rubber band effect. That's part of that lag compensation that if it wasn't built in the game, it'd be a very small detail. I mean, you'd maybe realize it once or twice every four or 5, maybe even 6 games. Now this adding on to the gameplay quality. But anyway, I'd like to talk about the business aspect of this and why it makes such sense at a business standpoint. I know I'm kind of moving along pretty fast. That's just because I don't want to have to make this into a 2-part video. But here we go. If you really think at a business standpoint, Treyarch, Activision, and Infinity Ward, and now Sledgehammer Games don't have to put the time into developing a new engine, and people still will buy the game. You'll get new players, you only lose a few vintage players, and this leading to more profit. Now this profit is what they seek. Obviously it's a business, they want to make money. But they should, as well as making the money, care enough about the fan base, old or new. Now, I do believe that there should be a skill gap in the game of Call of Duty. Makes the game what it is. I had to deal with a skill gap when I started playing, but now the newer players don't have that skill gap, and they get everything pretty easy for them. Now, that's not to say, or to be bashing on them. I mean, they do have to come up against decent players just like you or I will, but it's really not a difficult concept. So, here we go. And going in more to the business concept, they, and when I say they, I'm going to mean Activision and the companies, but what they do is they don't put that time in, and they make the transactions. By doing this, they've created another way to make money. Well, yes, it won't make them the amount of money as 15,000 sales will, or no, sorry, we'll say 15 extra million sales a year. We'll just throw that number out there. We'll say that they really do fantastic and they pull in an extra amount of sales while they do this. Now, yes, this would be good for the company at that moment in time. It really will not work out in the long run. And what I mean by this is, after like 2 or 3 years, us consumers are going to say, hey, this game is starting to get, or this engine is starting to get older. It's not as good. And, like, while that might happen, the players will always buy the digital camos and stuff like that, the microtransactions. This giving Activision, Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer Games, and the companies I've mentioned a bigger profit, which really helps them out in the long run. Now, why would they want to waste time on a new engine that's inevitably going to become old when they can sell minor DLC packs that might not make extra money in that long run, but it really will tack on to the money that they get. See, that's the business standpoint of it, but here's where I would like to provide a fix to this, and thus giving us as gamers the new engine that we deserve. So, what you do is you do not buy those microtransactions. You're seriously paying $3 for an amateur artist that came in and pretty much just photoshopped. I could probably do that, and I'm not even out of high school yet. So, along with that, like, you don't buy those, and you really hold back before buying the season pass. I mean, what's the season pass going to get you if you have it for, what? For like 2 months before the DLC, if you get it. If you actually, and don't buy the deluxe editions. Yes, they may sound cool, and I know that the Juggernaut fridge is really cool, but you don't need it. I mean, if you're really having troubles getting a fridge or a mini fridge, you probably shouldn't be buying the Call of Duty game. You should probably be trying to rack in some money. And as well as, I mean, don't boycott the game. I mean, it's seriously, if you like Call of Duty, play the Call of Duty games. But if you really do want to see a change, I will implore you guys to really try to make a difference and not buy the game at, what, 4 or 5 months before. Don't pre-order it 4 or 5 months before the thing drops, because guess what that does? That sends them the message that, hey, people are already buying the game. We'll make another extra 4 or 5 million, maybe 6, 7, maybe even 10 million in post-release date sales, and then they won't have to put in that much time in the game. They can focus on DLCs and stuff like that, which we really don't want them to do. We want them to focus on the core game at hand. This being because the core game is what really does keep the game running. Now, that's it for me. Signing out, here's Hockey Rocks. Hope you guys did enjoy the commentary. If you guys did, please do tell me down below, and comment, rate, and subscribe. See ya.